Welcome to the playoff edition of the Aiming Five Hole podcast. Ryan, we're off and running in the playoffs. Can you believe we've gotten to the second season already?
I know. I feel a little bit bad that we're recording this after almost all of the game ones. But in the interest of full disclosure, we have both agreed not to change any of our picks that we made prior to recording this.
Yes, we both did our picks on Friday.
Yeah, I didn't pick any sweeps anyway.
Yeah,
So
I didn't pick any sweeps, but I haven't changed any of my picks based on this weekend. And yeah, just to acknowledge, the Olympics have screwed up the schedule this year, and it's screwed up our schedules because we tape on Sunday, release it on Monday. Maybe I'll release it tonight early so that it gets out there early. But with the playoffs starting on a Saturday this year, it was kind of odd. But hey, it is what it is.
it is what it is.
Let's go and let's have some fun with this. Where we're going to start
Absolutely.
with from our preseason predictions before we get to our
Yeah, we need to
preseason
talk.
predictions, we got to talk about what we talked a lot about in at nauseum a little bit, and probably people got sick of hearing of the Thanksgiving theory. And we said at Thanksgiving, maybe this year it might not hold, and lo and behold, it held.
It held to perfection, right? Like
75%.
75% of the teams that were in a playoff spot as of Thanksgiving in the United States made the playoffs. The only one in the West that changed was Edmonton came in,
Yes.
and the East was just a bit of
The
a
East
jumble.
was
But
Buffalo, Montreal, Philly. Yeah, Buffalo, Montreal, and Philly were all the ones that were out. And the East was such flux in terms of the whole since Thanksgiving. There's been ins and outs. Detroit at one point, Philadelphia was in, like not Philadelphia, Detroit was in. There were so many different variations going on, and it just was chaos at
yeah,
some point.
yeah,
Like we talked about it last week. Detroit on January 25th was leading the Atlantic, and Ottawa was second last in the East. So a lot changed in the East, not a lot changed in the West, other than Edmonton coming in. So
yeah. Go figure, right?
what can you do? It's a theory that has standed the test of time. But the other thing I want to acknowledge in this playoffs, there's two things. One,
Okay.
people will note that's watching this video and not just listening to us, is that Ryan promised me a Habs hat, and I said I would follow the Habs in good faith. He's been rooting for the Leafs in the last number of years when the Habs haven't been in it. So I said I'll follow the Habs this year. He promised to get me a hat. As you can see, I've got to wear a
Hey,
Canada hat and a
we
Canada shirt because my
we
Canadians
covered
hat
this.
hasn't changed. I know we covered this. The other thing that I want to acknowledge is if those that are watching, if you look over Ryan's right shoulder, traditionally when Boston and Montreal are in the playoffs in the past, and Leafs haven't been, I have rooted for
Boston.
Boston. And no, several years ago, 15, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I bet on the Habs to beat the Bruins. They didn't. And sitting over his right shoulder, you remember we talked about this at some point this season, is the $100 bill I had to send him
Well, it's not just the $100 bill.
framed.
You had to put it in this
Framed.
plaque.
Yes. So, anyways, let's get on with the show and whatnot. And I'm going to someday
Yes.
get that back, but whatever.
All right. So for the time being, all right. So we've already covered the Thanksgiving theory being validated yet once again, but we also should revisit before we talk about the first round matchups, our preseason predictions of which teams would make the playoffs and who would be in and who would be out versus the 16 playoff teams last year.
There's a lot of things we were wrong about this year.
Needless to say, we didn't do very well in the East. We did pretty well on the West. We both said that St. Louis would be the only team to fall out.
Yep.
I picked Utah to be the team that replaces them. So for the West, I was perfect.
Yep.
You picked Vancouver, who is
Dead last.
dead last place.
Dead last.
Dead last. And by the way, when you couple that with the fact that Toronto was your Stanley Cup finalist from the East,
Well, there's three predictions that I was really so far off on. The Toronto going to the Stanley Cup playoffs,
playoffs.
Vancouver being in the
Being in the
playoffs. And if you recall, we also made a prediction of who was going to win the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes. We both said Pittsburgh or Chicago.
Yeah, it's true.
And we were so wrong on that. At
We're
least
so
Chicago
wrong.
didn't make the playoffs, but Pittsburgh did. So
Yeah, Chicago could still win.
yeah. So
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So yes, dead wrong in the West. Obviously,
No, you were half right in the West.
half right in the West. In the
Yeah,
East, that was, you said in the East there was going to be no changes.
yeah,
I at least
yeah.
said Washington was going to be out, which I was correct.
Hmm.
So you said no changes, so there was nobody new teams going to be in. I said Detroit was going to get in. Barely missed out. Should have been in, but
Yep.
blew it down the stretch. And in fact, there was four teams out: Toronto, New Jersey, Washington, and Florida. And in were Boston, Philly, Pitt, and Buffalo.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we couldn't have been more
We
far
couldn't have.
off than we
No,
we
that's well.
tried.
We could have. We got four out of the eight teams right.
Yeah.
So, but
Oh
I did.
well.
To be clear, though, I forgot that Winnipeg was in the playoffs last year and not this year.
Yes.
So it wasn't just Utah and St. Louis. It was
Yes. Yeah. Winnipeg out and
Anaheim, and
Utah and
Anaheim is in.
Anaheim. Yeah.
And
So
we
there's
know I can be forgiven for, and you too, for not picking Anaheim in the playoffs. We didn't think that the pillow fight in the Pacific
be
would
quite
have
as
been
bad.
sued. Yeah, would have been quite as
It
bad.
was terrible. But
Unbelievable.
we won't get into the conference finals and the Stanley Cup championship yet because we'll do that as we go along in the playoffs. But
But just a reminder, just a reminder, I've got Carolina and Dallas in the final with Dallas winning, and you've got Toronto and Colorado in the final with Colorado winning.
yes.
So we're both still alive, thank
Yeah.
God. We didn't screw it up that
And let's
badly.
also remember that there's now a 16 year um, gap with the President's Cup
So,
winner winning the
oh,
Stanley Cup. 2013, Chicago is the last team that won the President's Trophy for coming first in the regular season to win the Cup.
okay.
Colorado
So
is going to
if
attempt to do
Colorado
it again.
wins, if Colorado wins, not only did you pick the preseason winner correctly,
Yes.
but this massive you picked that this long massive streak would end as well. So
Yes. Yes. And
congratulations
another
on that.
curse. So
And
will
another
end.
curse.
Another curse will end. So there we go. That's our
Okay.
two pieces off the table.
Off the top. All right, so let's tackle the first round matchups.
Do you want to start in the East or the West?
I want to start in the West because I want to
Okay.
talk about Montreal towards
Okay.
the back end of
Well, let's
this.
start right at the top. Let's start Colorado, the Kings. Since you're in
Five
LA,
games.
why don't you have 5 games for who?
5 games. I called Colorado in five, and then when
I'm writing
LA
these down
kept
so
it
we know.
close. Yeah, LA kept it close, right? They played that old school LA defensive
Oh,
trap
that first
game. It
period
looked
was kind of gross in terms of, and you could tell Colorado was getting frustrated because anytime they dumped the puck, there was four Kings inside their blue line already, and it was just they were frustrating. By the way, before we go on, I've also taken Colorado in 5.
okay.
But I am thankful the Kings got in because the Leafs get a second round draft
You get a
choice
second
instead of
round
a
pick
third.
now.
So thank you to the Kings for doing that for us. But yeah, I think the Kings will win one at home, and
Okay.
that's about it. I was a little shocked, and when they talked about it a bit on the broadcast, by Forsberg getting the start over Darcy Kemper.
That was odd.
Now
That one
Forsberg played
surprised
great
me.
down the stretch, but Darcy Kemper's got a Stanley Cup and some pedigree and knows the guys on the other side of the ice because he won a Stanley Cup with Colorado. So
Yeah.
I was a little shocked that he got the nod, that Forsberg got the nod, but he
Yeah, and he
played
played
well.
well.
He
He
played
played very
well.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
thought
that
that
go ahead.
I thought that the Colorado really took over in the third period, but when LA scored, I was like, oh, they may they may sort of tie it up, and then thankfully they didn't, because if they win game one in Colorado, then it starts to look like maybe they could push it to six, in which case my prediction would be off, and so would yours. But I honestly thought they were they played two and a third very inspired defensive periods. Like they knew that they had to hang on and
Yeah.
maybe get a lucky bounce or two to win. But once Colorado found its footing in the third period, before they added the second goal, um, I thought that they were just buzzing all over them defensively. Like they finally started to set up some O time with space. And you know who really kind of led the charge on that was Nazem Kadri. I thought he played
Yeah, he
a
was getting the puck deep.
tremendous a tremendous playoff style game, winning puck battles in the corners, maintaining possession, and finding places to pass the puck off to keep it moving. So, more power to the Colorado organization for identifying that need and going out, spending the capital to get him. And already in game one, he's shown what he's worth.
And we talked about it before the playoffs, how deep Colorado is. The fact that
Mm-hmm.
Nazem Kadri's playing on the third line,
Yeah,
like on any other team in the playoffs, he is playing on the first two lines.
yeah.
He's not a third line player, but on this team with such depth. And it was a physical game too. I think LA was really trying to play physical. Kempe at the end of the third period was
I
just
know. Where did that
taking
come from?
liberties with Makar and going after him. Then Landeskog coming off the bench sort of hit him, and they went after each other. So it was an intense game. I think it's going to be a quick series in terms of, like we said, 5 games, but I think it's going to be an intensive 5 games. Like it's
Hey,
going to
look,
be,
if you've got Swedes taking swings at each other,
yeah, two teteammates
you know
from
it's
the
yeah,
Olympics.
it's a pretty intense
Yeah,
series
absolutely.
already.
So let's move on to the next game, and that's in the West. That's
Okay.
Dallas, Minnesota. Before we talk about that game, who would you take in that series?
I had Dallas in 7, and I had originally had Dallas in 6, because I do think they're just a little bit deeper top to bottom. But the injury to Hintz had me a little bit worried and a little bit concerned that Heiskanen wasn't at 100%.
Yeah,
Although Heiskanen may never be at 100%. Like every time I watch Dallas on TV, oh yeah, Haskinen's battling this and that. I'm like,
yeah,
geez, guy's
yeah.
never really fully healthy. But anyway, it looks like the Hintz injury is more problematic than I
Right.
gave it credit for, and so I had Dallas in 7. I don't know
And
what.
I got Dallas in 7 as well, which I think it proves after last night's game, uh, last night's game that we made these picks beforehand because they didn't look good last
No,
night. Minnesota took to them. Minnesota looked fast. Um, they looked good up and down the ice. Played well. I think a little bit of surprise with the start of Wallstat in net for Minnesota and giving the rookie the shot over Gustafson. Like I was a little shocked in that. I
I
know
wasn't.
Wallstat's had a great season. Both of them have had a good season, but I was a little surprised they gave the rookie the nod.
Uh,
Um,
I actually admit I wasn't surprised by that.
yeah,
I've been singing Wallstadt's praises all year, right?
yeah,
So it'd be kind of hypocritical for me to say, yeah, give Gustafson the start.
yeah,
Um, I did find that uh, Minnesota looked quicker than Dallas.
yeah. Hughes was
That
really
was
controlling the puck play, the movement, the speed of the
Hughes hasn't
game.
Hughes hasn't skated in like what, a week and a half
I'm not
or
sure, but he
like
hasn't stopped skating since yesterday either. He's
yeah
still skating. He's somewhere
he's
skating.
he's
He's
some
still,
yeah, but he played like 28 minutes and
oh,
like without
crazy.
having skated in a week. He's a pretty impressive guy, that's for sure.
Yep. Yep. No,
Um,
it's great.
so look, I am sticking. Well, obviously I have to.
I
Like
think
that
we
was
both
my
have to
that.
stick with.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Dallas.
That's another
In
one that's going to be a battle. It's going to be a 7 game war. And we talked about this. If that is the war that we think it's going to be, and Colorado can get by the Kings relatively quickly in 5, and that one goes 7 brutal games, I think whichever team comes out of that battle is going to be hurting against Colorado in the next round. And they won't get a lot
yeah,
of rest in between. They'll
no, they
get a
won't. But
night.
you know what? Like, I feel like I make that prediction, if not every year, then like most years, that like a team that gets an easy series ends up going up against a team that went through a really really physical and difficult long series, and they was like, yeah, they're going to be fresher, they're going to cakewalk over them, and it never ever
True.
ever goes
I
that
think
way.
it's like you walk into the playoffs on a high, and then Minnesota, if let's just say whoever wins that series is going to come through that series and be going and not stop and be on it. And if Colorado is stopped, might put them in a bit of a lull a little bit. But again, I just think this Colorado team is so deep that you
Yeah.
give them some rest, get a tired team out there, and then if they can win the first 2 games of whoever they play in their own building and put them down 2, that's a tough climb to come out of after a tough series.
Hmm.
So yeah, but I agree with you. Like we've said that a lot, that a team coming out of a tough series, and then Colorado's sitting there waiting for you, but you're also rolling and you've battle tested to some degree. So,
Exactly. And then look, I expect Wedgwood to continue to play well, but on the odd chance that he has a soft game in a game one against an inspired team that just, had a
mhm.
really tough battle, that can reinforce that momentum,
No,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Like
Give up a couple
uh,
shaky ones and then Minnesota's rolling, right? They're feeling good.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we can't talk about the other two in the West in terms of their games. We can talk about our predictions because
Yeah, those are
Utah,
those.
Vegas, the time of taping don't start for another hour or so. So let's talk Vegas and Utah.
Okay, I have Utah in six.
Wow, holy cow, we're like simpatico right now because I
Really,
got
you got the
Utah in
same?
six as well. This is
I thought for sure you were going to pick Vegas, but
no way, no way. I want
I
Marner gone.
oh, I
This one.
forgot
I've
about the
got
Marner
bets on
factor.
this one with guys I play hockey with,
I forgot about the Marner
because
factor.
there's a number of Vegas fans out here that I play hockey with,
Okay.
and they wanted to put jerseys on the line, and I'd have to come on the show in a jersey, and I went, no way, no way. But because you can't replicate that for me on whatever I
Yeah,
invite you to
yeah,
do.
exactly. That's a one-sided bet.
So we got a friendly pre post hockey breakfast on the line, but I got Utah in 6-2. I think if I still question Utah, I mean Vegas's goaltending. I know Carter Hart is being selected to start. He's been the better of the three goaltenders that they've got. We might actually in this series see all three of them. I'm going to make that prediction too right now. I think in that series, if
That's an
Utah
interesting.
wins this series in six, we might see all three of them.
That's an interesting prediction. I didn't even occur to me that they might play three goalies. I don't think they do, but it's not
Well, I
out
think
of
it's going to be that
the.
bad. This Utah team, I haven't seen a lot of it. You've probably seen more of them than I have, but I think the enthusiasm in Utah. Like I think it might be one of the few buildings, Montreal being one of them. The spectacle going on in Buffalo, the opening. I don't know if you watched any of the opening because the Montreal games. And I flipped over to watch at least the open to see it. It was fantastic. I think the energy in Utah is
It's a good
going
building.
to be absolutely crazy. And
It's a good building.
and it's a small building, so and they're right on top of the ice. So I think their call it the sixth man effect is really going to take effect, and I think Vegas's number time is up. They haven't played great this year. I know they've played better since Tortorella's come in, but I think
Hmm.
the coach effect ends in the regular season. They've been sitting there for a while. Um, I don't know. And I think look at Marner's track record in the playoffs and their track record from last year of disappearing will just linger. And you know what? Look at Vegas could very well win the first game, but I think Utah comes back and wins in six. And I think it'll again the physicality of and the youthfulness and the energy of Utah will outmatch Vegas's experience and the forward depth that they've got.
Yeah. Well, the two things um, lead me to make the pick that I have. Number one, there's no 3-on-3 in the playoffs.
No.
Like the only reason Vegas is in a playoff position is because they went to so many overtime games and won them.
Well, they
And
lost a lot of overtime games too.
they lost a
So,
lot of them too. They lost a ton of them too, and all
yeah,
of those loser points got them to where they are.
right.
So I don't think, 5-on-5 they're going to compete with Utah.
Yeah,
Secondly, again with injuries, William Karlsson looks like he's out, and he's out for the entire run. Or
right. That takes some real scoring touch out of
just
Vegas.
it's
Yeah,
also your second line center, right?
right.
Like
Takes you jobbles your lines.
yeah, you can't replace a 2C like that.
Well, they've been trying with Marner playing in that 2C, and I don't think it's worked.
No, it
He's
didn't
not
work
a
in
centerman,
Toronto. Yeah, it
especially in the
did.
playoffs where he's not doesn't play that physical game. Yes, he's a two-way player. He plays in both ends of the ice, but he's in the playoffs, that center position, especially in the two lines, got to play a little more physical, and he's going to get
Yeah,
beaten up in that position because he's got to get in front of the net, and
yeah.
yeah, I just don't
Well,
see it
he may
working.
have to play center now, but
Yeah,
they're they're going to struggle in this series.
yeah.
I think I'm curious that you picked them in 6 as well, Utah, because I feel pretty good about that.
Well, I actually think that Edmonton won the lottery by Anaheim squeaking past the Kings and the Oilers getting to play Anaheim first. Because I actually think the team in the West that could do some damage is Utah.
A lot of people have actually
And
have called that. Like, they thought that
because
that
remember, if
Utah could be kind of
right,
dangerous.
and because if they win this series, they stay in the Pacific and they play the winner of Anaheim
And
Edmonton.
Edmonton, yeah.
Right? They don't go back and have to play in the Central, right? So they're going to play the winner of the Edmonton series, which again, it's a lottery. So I think that's your run through to get to the Western Final, and that side is way easier path than it is in the Central, right?
It,
So,
for
and
for
I
sure,
think if Utah
but
can get past the Vegas, I think they could be dangerous.
they could be dangerous, but they're not deep enough on the blue line to
No,
beat Colorado.
no,
So yes, they could get to the conference
but
finals,
but
I
that's
guess.
why they're
But
more dangerous in playing in the Pacific.
yeah, for
They
sure.
could beat any of those teams in the Pacific. To your point, I don't think they beat anybody in the Central, so, but
Yeah, yeah,
it could be interesting. But yeah, I am thoroughly in the Mitch Marner and the Vegas Knights will be the first round, first big team going out.
yeah. I think we're on the same page there. Which brings us to Edmonton and Anaheim.
Anaheim, Edmonton,
It's the Orange Series.
the Orange Series. There'll be plenty of orange.
It's a lot of orange in this series. I am picking Edmonton, but I have no idea how many games it's going to take.
Well, I'll tell you first, though, that doesn't sound like we're on the same page here or not. I called Edmonton, and this is going to shock you. I'm going to
Okay.
call him 5. And the reason
That doesn't shock me. It doesn't
reason I
shock me.
say
By
that
the
is
way,
how poorly Anaheim's, other than that win in the last game of the season, they coming in as cold as any team is. 3, 5,
yeah.
and 2 coming down the stretch, barely squeaking into the playoffs, not playing particularly great hockey. Edmonton, on the other hand, 6-3-1 coming in, had to be trying to fight. They were actually trying to fight to win the division to get home ice, and they will get home ice if Knights lose that series. So um, they played a little bit of hockey and they played inspired hockey with Draisaitl out. Draisaitl, I don't know if you saw some of the news today.
He's
Apparently,
skating full
he's been
speed.
full speed. So is Dickinson. So he could be back in as well. They could be fully healthy for the playoffs. Apparently, they were showing clips of Draisaitl and some of the reports that I saw the other day. He skated pregame, not pregame, sorry, pre-practice, did full practice, participated in the first line power play drills, and then stayed on the ice and skated for another half an hour after everybody left. So
Okay.
I don't know what's ailing him. It seems that he's getting healthy and he's pushing himself, which is great. So if they're fully healthy, that contributes to the 5 games. And you know what? They could probably use a little bit of rest before they play whoever they got to play. And Anaheim is just I am coming into the playoffs backwards. The big question mark for Edmonton, as we've all said, is their goaltending. Will Ingram hold up, and do they have to go to Jari? And if they have to go to Jari, they're in trouble.
They're in trouble. 'Cause I think Dostal's going to play well.
Yeah,
He played well in the Olympics. He's a pretty focused big game
yeah,
goalie. But they are going to give up a lot of goals. I mean,
yeah,
Dostal's played well all season, and they've still given up a lot of goals. They're a
yeah. Well,
terrible
they're a young,
defensive team.
inexperienced team.
Yeah. So
Experienced
it
coach. They got a great coach,
mhm.
but
So I would not be shocked if Edmonton won in 5. I wouldn't be shocked if Edmonton won in 7.
yeah,
Like I said, I'm going to split the difference just to be, because I've got to throw a number out there. I'm going to say Edmonton in 6.
cool. Yeah, you're right. It could go any number. My X factor in this one was how bad Anaheim played down the stretch and it hadn't been for the teams behind them playing so poorly for that 5 or 6 games before the stretch and
Mm-hmm.
throwing themselves out of it. Anaheim might be out.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
they they dangerously came very close to having to play Colorado, and nobody wanted that to be.
No, nobody wanted that.
Nobody
Least of
wanted
all the
that.
Kings.
Yeah.
Least of all the Kings. All right. So
So let's go to the East.
there's the East. Okay. So the
Let's go to
East.
the East. Where are we going to go start first? You pick where you want to go start in
I
the
want to
East
start
first.
with Buffalo and Boston.
There we go.
Mostly because I haven't been watching that game because of the Montreal game. I have no idea what's happening.
I started watching. I
All right,
flipped it
don't tell me a
between
thing.
into in play. I started flipping during intermissions and
Hmm.
whatnot. It started out being really physical, really fast, right from the hop. It was
No,
actually a lot of fun to watch. I can't wait to go back and watch her to see what's happening. I'm watching the score here. It's you don't want
don't
me telling what's going on,
don't
right? You
tell
don't
me
want me
what's
telling
going
what's
on
going
because
on.
I don't want to. Yeah, I've got to give my my unsullied uh, prediction where I can.
There you go. Okay.
I have Boston in 7.
Wow, this is going to be the first one that we
We
differ on.
disagree.
I'm going to tell you right now, my in-laws are not going to like me for this pick. Is I'm taking Buffalo in 6. Um, my in-laws
Our
live
Boston
in
fans.
or they're Boston fans. They live just outside of Boston, just North Shore Boston. They're not going
Okay.
to like me right now. My
No,
mother-in-law,
no.
who does religiously, thank you for listening to us, listen to the show. I'm sure I'm going to get text tomorrow morning
We
going,
just lost one.
what are you doing? So I apologize to you.
Especially like
But
think about how bad this looks for you, right? You're doing a podcast with a Montreal Canadiens fan who picked Boston to win their
yeah,
first
yeah,
round
yeah. I
series,
can't believe you're
and you
picking
can't
Boston.
do
Of
it.
all people, probably everybody come into this thought, oh yeah, Phil's gonna take the Bruins, given the history. You're gonna take Buffalo. You know what? I've just loved the story of this team since the Christmas break.
Hmm.
Almost dead last, fighting their way through it, coming together. They fire the GM. They come together somehow, some way, firing on all cylinders. That fan base, 15 years without the playoffs. Did you see those swords with the beer swords as
Yeah. Oh
drinking?
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I got to get me one of those. Hope
Did you
someone
see?
listening send me one.
Did you see what Wyatt Russell did?
No,
Kurt
I didn't
Russell's
see it.
kid.
No.
He made some bet that if the Buffalo Sabres made the playoffs, that he was going to jump into Lake Erie, and he did
No.
it.
Did
Yeah,
he do it? I
they
didn't
filmed
see
it
it.
for social
Oh,
media,
wow.
and then his dad Kurt did a little video of his own congratulating his son for coming through on his bet, and it was really
Well,
cool.
you know,
But here's why. But you say all of these things, and they're all 100% true, and it sort of warms my heart a little bit to see that turnaround and this as a story. But that is exactly why I am picking Boston, because the Boston Bruins have a track record and a talent for effing up somebody else's good time.
well, you do recall the last time these two teams met in the playoffs. I was rooting for Boston, and it still breaks my heart because you remember who scored the goal? Brad May in overtime. It was, I don't think it was game 7. I think it was game 6 to force game 7 in
Oh,
Buffalo, May Day. Remember that May Day?
mm-hmm.
That call, that historical call. But, look at the Bruins are big and tough teams. I can I tell you what's going on in the score now because
Yeah.
you
Now you
made your
can tell
pick?
me.
It's
Yeah,
actually
through
just become 2-0 Boston, unfortunately,
my.
with 14 minutes to go. So, but you know what? Hey, look, it doesn't deter me.
No.
Obviously 15 years not in the playoffs,
So Buffalo in
fans
how
going
many?
nuts. The team is a little nervous. They're young. They go down early, but that's okay. They can still win. I could be wrong in the number of games, but I still think this
So you're
is
picking Buffalo in
Buffalo in 6.
6. Buffalo in
Buffalo
6.
in
Okay.
6. Yeah, again, I think that Cinderella story uh, could could materialize here.
Okay. Okay.
So, where are we going
All
to go
right.
next?
Now, let's go to Ottawa and Carolina. And I want to talk about this for a second because I did watch the first
Well, we know
game.
who you picked because
Yeah.
you got them going to the finals. So I hope you picked them in the first
Yes.
round.
I've got Carolina in 5. I should have made it 6 because Ottawa's good, but I did pick Carolina in 5. And the reason why I did that was because I hate Brady Kachuk so goddamn much that I if Ottawa, after all of like the dark horse picks that everybody was saying and how they're the best team, and they were like, if it wasn't for their goaltending problems, their underlying advanced statistics said they would have been one of the best teams in the league. If they were to go out meekly in the first round, I think it spells the end of Brady Kachuk in Ottawa, and they trade him.
Yeah, but they can end
And
up on one of our teams. We don't want that.
Brady Kachuk will not end up on the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
He's not a Martin
He's
Saint-Louis
going to the
guy. I don't
US if
think.
he ends up anywhere. Yes, I get
Oh,
that.
believe me, he will never play for another Canadian team.
No.
That is no Kachuk is ever going to play for another Canadian team. Anyway,
He did come out today and said, "I want to win here. I'm going to stay here as long as it
Oh,
takes to win a cup."
blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah, yeah. Everybody says that kind of
Yeah.
garbage, but whatever.
Yeah. How close to his face was he holding the cue cards when he was reading that
Yeah, well,
statement?
somebody was probably saying it to him in his ear because he can't read.
Good point. Good point.
So just
So
before you go on, and because I took Carolina in six, I
okay.
desperately wanted to take Ottawa because I like Travis Green. I think he will be the runner-up for the Coach of the Year. Like maybe Dan Muse, coach. I think those two will be runners-up for Coach of the Year to Lindy Ruff. But I couldn't pick Ottawa, just like you couldn't in good conscience, because I can't stand the Kachuk brothers. And the way that
Yeah.
game opened yesterday, again, look at the commentators are saying, oh, this was such a great way, starting with a fight and picking on, going after Stahl and asking him to fight to start the game. Just stupid.
It's so stupid.
So stupid. I'm
Why would
so
you,
glad
you
they lost that game. So
right? He's your
stupid.
captain. He's your you want so it's a good strategy to have your captain miss the first 5 minutes of a
Really,
playoff game.
just dumb. Go out and
That's
make a
just
big
dumb.
hit. Go out and make two or three big hits on the first thing. Take a run at somebody. Not take a run at somebody, but make some big hits. Make some. That's to me, that's more energizing than going out and saying, "Do you want to go fight?" That's just dumb, right? Taking him off the ice for 5 minutes. One of your best, supposed to be one of your best offensive players, off the ice for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was
Stupid,
it was dumb.
dumb.
So,
So glad they lost that
but look,
game.
I think Carolina and Ottawa actually are very similar teams, but Carolina's just better at it,
Yes. And
right? They play a similar
Freddie
way.
Anderson stood on his head. That
Yeah,
save that everybody thought went in, I thought it went in. Like I thought his glove was in the net, and then to watch it roll off the post and into his glove was pretty cool. But he
it's
stood on his
amazing.
head.
Isn't it amazing? Like the advances in camera technology and
Oh,
placement that they have now. Like,
it tells you why
the,
you need to do video replay is so important. You got to get these things right, especially in the important moments, because that would have been called a goal in any other moment,
yeah, there
right?
isn't a single inch of the rink that you can't get an incredible
Right.
high quality close up slow
Yeah.
motion
Almost cost
replay of.
Montreal today.
We're going to talk about that because I'm
Yeah.
furious about that whole game,
Yeah.
other
Well,
than the
let's get to that
result.
one. We'll leave that one to
Okay,
the end. Let's
yeah,
go
to the end.
Pitt and
Okay,
Philly.
Pitt and Philly. I have Pittsburgh, like the majority of people out there, but I did have it going seven. And
I have Pitt in seven too.
oh, did you? Because most people pick them in much less than that. I don't. I think
No,
a
I
lot.
think this is going to be a war series.
I just think Vladar is going to, at the very least, with the way that team is playing defensively and a very confident young goalie who's really found his stride. I think they're, and maybe it's just because I've seen the Stuart Skinner movie too many times.
Again, I guess I shouldn't be, but I'm shocked that they started him in net. Like when I saw him in net, I had to shake my head and go, "Hold on, is
Well,
that Stuart Skinner?"
he has
Yeah,
played
he's
in he's
second
played in
most
two
wins in
finals.
the second most playoff wins of any goaltender in the league right now
Yeah,
because that's in the playoffs because of the last couple seasons runs. But
yeah,
they lost today, and look at this series out of any series was the biggest pick 'em for me.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
if you
yeah,
picked Philadelphia in seven, you probably wouldn't have got anybody going, you're crazy. Like
yeah,
these are two teams that nobody expected to be in the playoffs, let
yeah,
alone battling each other. Like you got a
yeah.
subway series going on here between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Rick Tocchet even said that last night or today in his press conference, going, we have nothing to lose because nobody picked either of these two teams to be in the playoffs. We picked Pittsburgh to be the
Yeah, in the
potentially
lottery.
the lottery winners.
Yeah, but
And
you,
and it hurts me to pick
after
Pittsburgh because of you know who.
right, right. But okay, so after everything we've said, but we're like, but hang on a second, you're still picking Pittsburgh.
I'm taking Pittsburgh.
You should be picking Philly if you're talking about their defense and their goalie and all that.
I should be,
And Rick
but
talking,
this was a
but
toss of the coin.
to
It
me
was
it
the
wasn't a toss of the
experience.
coin.
It was the
To me,
experience.
it's Sidney Crosby.
It's Sidney Crosby. It's the experience. Um, what was it? I think it was 10 players on Pittsburgh have been in the playoffs. Only what three or two or three
Yeah.
players on Philadelphia that be in the playoffs. So look at again, some of that inexperience can be also um, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be
Well, if it's
energizing.
experience,
It could almost be like they don't know what they should know. And
yeah.
so look at, I could have easily picked Philadelphia. I just thought the experience in betting against Crosby in the first round, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
And,
Okay,
and that's why I
so
went 7, and that's why I went Pitt.
okay, so
Let's talk
let's
about TV
go.
and Montreal.
Let's talk about TV and Montreal and officiating.
Oh,
So we'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the game after we talk about the predictions and the wheres and the whys. But I have so many thoughts, and we don't have a ton of time
yes,
because we also want to get
to the
caught
bits and
up on some
bytes.
odds and ends around the league. But I'm calling Montreal in 7 in this series.
We have
I'm
been so dead on
really.
almost everything.
I thought you were
Montreal
going
in
to take
7.
Tampa.
No, no, I told you I would support Montreal, so I got to pick them.
Yeah, but you're picking them with your brain, not with your
No, I'm
heart.
picking. I actually think they'll win this series.
Okay.
I think that Hedman being out hurts. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
when he's coming back. It doesn't sound like he's traveling. He's going to travel with the team. Now, when you start saying, "Well, he's going to travel to Montreal," means he's out for the first two for sure.
Right.
And then it's iffy if he's going to play in Montreal because they say he's just traveling. He's not. They're not saying, "Well, he'll play by game 3." He's going to travel with the team to see if he can play. So I'm thinking this is longer term than they're expecting. You're going to miss your captain, your best defenseman, big guy on the and your leader. That hurts.
It does, and but I would say that there's a chance that he comes back a little bit sooner, based on the fact, depending on how long Dastu is out after tonight's game, because he did not come back
Yeah, they might
after
push him,
the Anderson
but
hit.
you
But
can't push him too much because if he gets hurt, then
then you're
then
royally
you're in
screwed.
real trouble, right?
Yeah,
So, um,
yeah. So I've got
but
Montreal in 7. I think
great win tonight.
great win tonight. I think Montreal plays a they can play a bit of a rope and dope kind of style in some ways, where they get 5 shots on goal. They're looking for like the perfect opportunity to score, and then they get a couple of power play opportunities, pop one in, get a lucky goal somewhere else, and the next thing you know, like they're hanging with the best teams in the league, and that can overcome experience. I'm sorry, and they've got experience during the regular season with Tampa trying to push them around and then pushing back.
Yeah,
Their best player tonight was Josh Anderson.
yeah.
Their second best player was the guy who scored the hat trick, Uri
What a talent he's
Slavkovsky,
becoming.
and
Incredible.
he's big. He's a monster. He played like one tonight,
Yeah, yeah. You know
or
what I
for me
actually
this
say is that
afternoon.
Caulfield went missing a little bit tonight.
He got hit a lot, and so
He
did
was,
Hudson.
yeah, but Hudson was in the play, was moving
Yeah.
around. Caulfield, surprisingly to me, was a little missing.
Well, he was great on the power play.
Yeah, but
He was a little
five
bit
on
missing
five,
5 on 5.
you didn't see him a lot.
Yeah.
Slapkovsky was so good tonight. I didn't remember hearing Demidov's name too often either. He made a couple great passes, and obviously on the power play as well, he played great.
Yeah. Well, here's what I
Um,
liked about Demidov's game. He idolizes Nikita Kucherov,
yeah,
and he went right after him today.
right.
Like hit him, chopped at him, got into his face. Like he was not awestruck at all.
Yeah,
And it was,
they took every chance to hit him every time they could, and rightfully so. And somebody was following him. Who was it that was following around in their own end? Whenever they were in their end, somebody was just on his hip.
oh yeah,
I
I don't think
forget
it was
who
the
it
same.
was. Was it Newhook that was on his hip the whole night?
No, it might have been it might have been Dano who's on him for
Yeah,
most of it.
I can't remember.
But the thing I loved was the fact that there was a collision between him and Arbor Jacki after a whistle because nobody could hear the offside whistle,
Yeah,
and Kucherov was about to do one of his post whistle slashes. You know the
yeah,
way like he does that. He's a dirty little
yeah,
bastard, and he realized it was Jacki, and he just sort of backed off and
yeah.
started
Well,
yapping.
bunch of other teammates
Yeah,
came in, and Jack guy just put his arm out and
yeah,
just
I
could
would. Yeah,
face washed them.
I would love to see
Yeah,
lay him out at some point. But look, the Canadians had a great win tonight. It's when you can take home ice advantage back for yourself. I told you beforehand that they were a very dangerous team on the road. Have been all
yeah.
season.
You said you weren't worried about them starting on the
Yeah, on the
road.
road,
I
and
still say if
so
this goes 7. I'm worried about that, but
yeah. But
I'd
look,
rather be
it's
playing in Montreal in Game 7.
I'll take it. First of all, I
Yeah.
can't wait for Game 3. I mean,
Oh,
having guaranteed at least a split on the road, coming back to Montreal, that
you
building
almost
is
have to
going to
fly up and go
be.
see a game, or fly out here and we'll go see a game in Tampa Bay.
I might have to.
Yeah,
It's been pretty amazing,
yeah,
but I would say before we move on to the odds and ends of the league, I just wanted to talk about tonight's game because yes, the Canadians got a great win, but it was almost taken from them by the officiating.
Well,
It was just atrocious, absolutely
this was by
atrocious.
far. I've watched every game so far. I'm obviously not watching the Buffalo. It was on there for a second behind me, but not watching the Buffalo Boston game right now because we're doing the show. But I've watched every game so far, and you know how the we talked about this, how the reffing and the game changes in the playoffs. The reffing in that game was so bad compared to all the other games. So much like one-handed slashed and break somebody's stick. Give me a break, and you get a penalty for that. The refs, unfortunately, undermined that game to the point where they helped make the decision of the game. Either way, if that had gone Tampa Bay, I would have said the same thing. I went Montreal's way, and I'm glad I went Montreal's way. But the reffing had an underlying um, storyline in that game and had it
Yeah,
as part of the outcome. And that's unfortunate. And it never, the refs should never play a part in the outcome. And they did tonight. And that is
yeah,
in the regular season, it's bad. In the playoffs, it's 10 times as bad. And
yeah.
I wrote you at one point and said, this officiating crew is having a bad night. And I didn't care if it was bad calls on both sides. Like it wasn't everything bad on Montreal or everything bad on Tampa Bay. It was both sides. It was just some bad calls, some bad officiating.
The charging
Just
call on Anderson was one of the
oh,
worst penalty calls I think I've ever
well, they
seen.
covered their butts.
It
They
was
didn't
a
know what to
clean hit.
call, so they
He
called a
knocked
5 minute major so they could look at it.
Yeah, and then then they looked at it and decided, oh, that's a 2 minute charging
Yeah,
penalty when it was a completely clean hit,
yeah.
feet on the ice, shoulder to shoulder, like just
Because the
because the
guy got
guy got
hurt,
sandwiched and hurt between
right?
two Canadians players, that doesn't make it illegal. It was
Yeah, and
uh,
the high sticking call, the 4 minutes. I get you got to control your stick, but the stick doesn't hit him in the face if he doesn't get interfered with. Like the
exactly.
guy's body who interfered with him hit the stick up into the guy's face. Okay, yes, maybe you call it 2-2, but you don't call the four there.
Yeah, that was.
Like I could live with the two, and then call it 4-on-4, but to get the extra two and get the power play, to me that was just ugh.
Yeah, they gotta
No one's been able to
they gotta.
explain that one. I listened to the intermission on that one, and I didn't agree with anything being said. I just
I couldn't believe I was agreeing with Biz Nasty on that. He was the only one that said
yeah.
that shouldn't have been a call.
No, it's just stupid.
Yeah,
It was right from the hop, though. Right from the hop in that game tonight, the refs were off, and they were off badly,
yeah.
and
And
they
they
never
missed
recovered.
and by the way, the linesmen weren't that great either
No,
because they waved off so many icing calls for no
yeah.
reason. It was bizarre.
The whole crew was terrible tonight, and I hope it's it's not gonna be the last you're gonna see them, but I hopefully, as you know, the officiating gets report cards
Reported.
after every round, and they pare down the people, and hopefully this crew is gone because they were
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, I
After
agree.
one game,
Okay,
I hate to say it, but they were terrible.
all
So,
right. So
anyways,
go
we've
Habs,
done our
go. I'll leave it at
productions. Go
that.
Habs. It was a
Yeah,
great opening weekend of hockey. I'm going to stay up and watch Vegas. Hopefully, lose to Utah. I'm going to stay up and watch that game. I
nice. All
got it.
right. So let's cover a few of the odds and ends
What a week!
from this week. We've only got a
What?
couple of minutes to do
Yeah,
it, so this is the lightning round.
it's the lightning round. Well, what a crazy week in
Yeah, number one,
Toronto.
number one, Alden gets fired in Vancouver, so another
Not
GM goes down.
not really shocking to
Not
me.
shocking at
Not
all.
shocking
Yeah,
to me. Some of what what's his name? Their president came out and said was a little shocking, saying I've known for a while Hughes was going to leave and blah blah blah, and I had to do something. Whatever. Anyways,
yeah.
not shocking. Patrick Allavine's gone. I didn't really think he was a great GM to begin with.
No, but you know
So
what?
whatever.
I thought the trade that
Oh,
the haul
absolutely,
that he got for Quinn Hughes was
fantastic. Yeah,
respectable haul. So
yeah.
no
And
complaints there.
treated him right in terms of letting him have a say of where he wanted to go.
Yes.
Classy move by the organization and by Patrick Alvin. So, hey, great.
Yep.
Now
Okay.
move on and don't get another job.
Right. All right. Yeah, especially in Toronto. Okay. So
Especially not
Sonny,
in Toronto.
yeah. So Sonny Meta signs with the Devils. So another candidate off the board for Toronto.
And
But
I'm
it
not
sounds
ready
like
to say that's a bad move or a good move or a
no,
bad move for
we don't know.
Toronto. We
Nobody
don't
knows
know.
anything about the guy.
Yeah, nobody knows a whole lot about him. So, you
Yeah,
know what? It's good for New Jersey.
perhaps.
Um,
But
but
but it's the volume of press stories that came out about Toronto's dysfunction this week.
oh, crazy.
it's a little sad. Didn't look good for Keith Pelly again.
No,
These
no. And look at,
articles and
I've known Keith for 35 years, worked for him for 5, 6 years in Toronto at TSN. He was a big reason why I came down and worked for NBC Sports when he was at the DP World Tour, and I came to work at Golf Channel. Great guy, um, classy, smart, passionate, loves the game, loves Toronto. And you can't believe everything you read in the press. And I say that as being part of the media.
yeah,
Um,
but this stuff
but
sounded very
what
well
was said and the
reported.
stuff that came out just is not a good look. And
Yeah,
it's if it's that dysfunctional, he's got a lot of work to do to get everybody back and running in the right way. And you know what? I'm a fan of Keith's, and I believe in him, so I think he can turn it around, but he's got a lot of work to do.
he does. He
And
does.
some of the stuff that came out, and look at, hopefully it starts with him hiring a great hockey guy to get in front of this and start to put the right people in place and start to put the right plan in place. And look at, we've kept our top five pick, which is hopefully we've kept our top five. We need the balls to go our
What
way.
do you have? 48%
Lottery balls,
chance of keeping it?
42% chance to keep the top
Okay.
five pick. I
Okay.
don't remember what the percentages to get number one. I'm not worried. I'm not going to be greedy and say I want number one. It would be great.
You just want the one you
I
got.
want the one I got. And you know what? If we get one of the three big name defensemen that's in this draft, I'm
It's
happy with
exactly what
that.
you
It's
need.
exactly what we need. I'd take the big winger from Sweden. He'd be great too. He's supposed to be fantastic. But you know, I'm not greedy. I just want to keep that pick because there's been a lot of talk about, do you really want to give it to Boston this year? I just
Hmm.
don't hope we don't give Boston the sixth pick overall. That would be
Not a
just, that would be like a
not a
dagger through the heart after everything that's gone on this year. But
especially after I picked them to beat Buffalo. And
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
and
So
then finally, like just because we got to wrap this up,
yeah.
Connor Hellebuck,
Well, there's
like
two we got to talk about. There's
yeah,
Hellebuck.
uh, Connor Hellebuck coming out and kind of bashing on Winnipeg a little bit as a place that nobody wants to play, and he wants to stay there, and he loves being there, and it's a great livable city, but you know he wants to win, and if other players don't want to come play there, he doesn't know what the future
Well,
holds for him. I was like,
I was more shocked
wow,
by his
boom.
words, but did you, the ones that I was shocked by his words was he really actually went off his shovel day off and saying, what, we rolled back the same group as we had last year. What
Yeah,
were you
like, oh,
thinking? We didn't, it wasn't good enough last year and we rolled it back again. Why, what are we doing here? He actually went after shovel day off more than he went after the city. And again, yes, I think he's sort of covering himself saying, I love to play here. I want to play here. I'm hoping other players will come and play here. We're not that far off of being a great team. But his comments about shovel day off and what are
I
you
think,
doing rolling back the same team? Like it just wasn't good enough. So bring me some new
I,
guys.
yeah, well, I think the Winnipeg comments were kind of a little bit of an off ramp for the shovel day off stuff.
Yeah,
It's like, look, you know, Kevin's trying to do his best, but he's got
true.
issues because people don't want to, free agents don't want to sign here, kind of thing.
Right,
But those are pretty inflammatory comments,
right.
and you know, that's not going to endear you to your city, especially.
No.
And I don't want to get political here, but like, this is a time when American players in Canadian cities have to be pretty diplomatic
Oh,
because
I
there's a lot
100%
of there are a
agree.
lot of hard feelings out there, and
100%.
that was not diplomatic
No,
at all.
no, not at all.
So
Not at all. It's
my guess is
unfortunate.
he's going to be walking that back pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Um,
But
Now, what was the other one? What did
the
you want to
last
finish
thing to
with?
talk about is Rick Bonus.
Oh
Day
yeah,
after
Nick
Columbus
Columbus.
gets knocked out of the playoffs. Did you see the press conference? Did you watch that?
I just watched that bit of
Oh
it
my
when he
God.
was
This is
going
why I
off
love,
on his
you know, I
players.
know you think the game is past. You gotta love this man's passion and love of the game. And you know, you had said, and I listened to our first episode where we talked about picks. You talked about Columbus potentially getting in. You were sort of dancing. Is it Utah and Columbus? And you just went, okay, it's
Hmm.
just Utah. And I said, there's no way Columbus is getting in. I think it's a hangover. Although this year they seemingly almost got there, should have got there. They went into an absolute tank in the last 10 games of the season. And Bonus called the players out saying, no heart, don't hate losing enough to win. When it got hard, we folded. And if you go back and listen to some of my comments at the beginning of the season, the first 2 months of the season, I was saying exactly the same thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hmm.
They don't hate losing enough. And Bonus said that about Columbus, and I'll say that about the Leafs too. This year showed they didn't hate losing enough. The room needs to change. Whoever they bring in, I hope changes that culture. I think Bonus is going to change that culture, and he's committed. And then he resigns the next day for one more year. He only signed for one more year. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Columbus. The players came out and said, "I agree with him.
Yeah,
We
well, I
need to be
mean,
better.
yeah,
We
and they
want
were
him here.
like,
I love him."
well, I think most of them said that after he got signed.
Yeah, true, true. But I loved his comments going, these guys are lucky that the season's over, that there's no practice tomorrow. The bag skate would have been terrible.
Oh God.
But I would agree with his comments. It was unfortunate that they couldn't hold on to the playoff spot. But I would say that his comments hold true to me for Toronto. Like I've said it before this year about Toronto, just didn't care about losing enough to win.
Yeah, yeah,
And the culture needs to change, and hopefully it does. But
yeah.
this has been a fun 3 days of or 2 days of hockey. It's not over. I'm going to
It's
watch a
not
little bit
over.
more before I go to bed. But we got a week of this. This is going to be so. This is my. We say this every year. This
Favorite time of
week and a
year.
half is the most favorite week and a half of the year outside of Olympics or Four Nations. This week, these guys are still fresh, playing amazing hockey, fun, battling it out.
And there's 4 games in it.
And there's 4 games, and my wife hates it. My family just sits there, and I sit there and watch hockey for hours. So it's great, lots of fun going back and forth with you, Ron, other people. So hopefully everybody enjoys this, and we're going to be back next week once this round is almost done and see how our predictions are going on the Aiming 5-Hole podcast.
Take care.
Take care, Ryan. Have a good night. Talk to you soon, man. Bye-bye.